Welcome, everybody. Welcome to those of you online. Welcome to all of you here in church this morning. Lovely to see you all. Today, you're welcome as you always are, just as you are. So however you're feeling in this moment, that's absolutely fine. We're here to worship, to give thanks for our blessings and to put some requests out into the universe or up to God for any assistance we might need. At this time, there'll be times when we're silent, there'll be times when we're singing, there'll be times to be in community together. And of course, we come to pay attention. We come to pay attention, not so much to me, although that, you're welcome to do that, but to pay attention to ourselves, where we are at the moment, to pay attention to each other, and to pay attention to the divine. So welcome, everybody. Now, the theme of the month I chose was being present, and today is a kind of being present in a particular way, I suppose. It's really about being a member of this church. And this service is for all of you, whether you're a member or not, so don't worry about that. But it's just to explore really what it means, what it could mean, what it might mean to you or not, and also and I suppose what it means to make commitment of any sort, really. So we had hoped today to formally welcome Viv into membership. She actually joined, I think, about a year ago. It was just after our last membership service, so she just missed that. So we were going to welcome her today, but unfortunately she's not feeling very well, so she's not here. So we'll do that. We'll do that another day. But let's begin as we always do, by lighting our chalice candle. And I know those of you at home, some of you like to light a candle with me, so please do. And some words by Margaret Kelp. As surely as we belong to the universe, we belong together. We join here to transcend the isolated self, to reconnect, to know ourselves to be at home, here on earth, under the stars, linked with each other. So let's just take a moment in prayer. Divine Spirit, we recognize that our community is made up of individuals and free thinkers from different backgrounds and cultures, different sexualities and genders, each with our own gifts and our own foibles, and of course our own unique life experiences. Some of us may see ourselves as misfits, or rebels, or dissenters. Here we give thanks for all that diversity. We give thanks for the ways in which it enriches us and gives our community its strength. We give thanks too for the freedom we find in togetherness, for the companionship we share on life's journey, for the openness and tolerance and acceptance we strive for, and for the welcome we feel in this place. So I invite you just to take a moment in silence to reflect on what it means to you to be here this morning in this particular community, just as we are here and now. And we pray too for those who do not find themselves in community, those who suffer oppression or control, those who live under tyranny, those who are not free to make their own choices or live according to their own consciences. Divine Spirit, be with us all, always. Amen.
Amen.
So let us sing our first hymn. I mentioned that this service is about membership, but also about welcoming everybody. So this hymn is very much about welcoming everybody here. And part of the feeling of being welcome, I think is, I'm wearing a badge, as you can see, and I've invited those of you in the room to wear a badge, and people online can see each other's names in their boxes. It's part of just sort of taking away the embarrassment of not knowing somebody's name, let's put it that way, because a lot of us know names, but some of us don't. And I know I can find it embarrassing after a while to ask someone their name for the third or fourth time. So it just allows us to have our name up front and hopefully be able to use them and maybe remember them, having seen them written down as well. So let's sing number 172 in the green hymn books. All are welcome here. So thank you for bearing with us. Where I was with a pig and a hen, I think. They were enjoying the sunny morning and they were having a friendly conversation. And then, as they do, obviously, and then they turn a corner and they see a big poster. And it's got an advertisement for the Great British Breakfast. Yes, quite. And it features all the things you might imagine it would feature. Fried potatoes and tomatoes and mushrooms and, of course, 2 fried eggs, a couple of sausages and some bacon. Ah, sighs the hen. Doesn't it make you proud to be chosen to participate in such a wonderful institution as the Great British Breakfast? Replies the pig. It might be participation for you, but for me, it's total commitment. And the moral of that story, Margaret Self says, is that participation is free, but commitment will cost you. Now, I hope that the lectern still works, because Sheila and I are going to do a reading together from the lectern. If it doesn't, then we'll do it from here, Sheila. Let's try it. This is a reading by Dana Worsnop, and it's a number of statements about what she wants from a community, from a spiritual community. And we're going to share them with you. And I just invite you to consider which of them you might agree with. You might not agree with all of them. You might agree with some. Let's see. I don't want to be with a bunch of people who think just like me. I want to be in beloved community where I don't have to think like everyone else to be loved. I want to be with people who value compassion, justice, love, and truth, though they have different thoughts and opinions about all sorts of things. I want to be with independent-minded people of good heart.
I want to be with people, I want to be with people who have many names and no name at all for God. I want to be with people who see my goodness and dignity, who see my failings and foibles, and who still love me. I want to be with people who feel their interconnection with all existence and let it guide their footfalls upon the earth. I want to be with people who see life as a paradox and don't always rush to resolve it.
I want to be with people who are willing to walk the tightrope that is life and will hold my hand as I walk mine. I want to be with people who let church call them into a different way of being in the world. I want to be with people who support, encourage, and even challenge each other to higher and more ethical living. I want to be with people who inspire one another to follow the call of the Spirit.
I want to be with people who covenant to be honest, engaged and kind, who strive to keep their promises and hold me to the promises I make. I want to be with people who give of themselves, who share their hearts and minds and gifts. I want to be with people who know that human community is often warm and generous, sometimes challenging, and almost always a grand adventure. In short, I want to be with people like you.
Thank you, Sheila, for joining me in that reading. And it's time for our second hymn now, which is I Dream of a Church. And this is, just to confuse you, this is in the purple hymn books. It's number 68. I Dream of a Church. And I know Kathy likes this one. I'm sure lots of us do.
She's glad of her world in Israel.
Thank you. And I think we got a bit of an echo there. It was a bit like singing in a cathedral. Let's come now to a time of reflection. And I invite you just to take a couple of minutes of silence for your own thoughts, prayers, meditations, just time to use for yourself. So I'm often, well, very often being asked, what is a Unitarian? And that's only by you. No, wherever I go and I say what I do, I'm being asked, what is a Unitarian? And it is a question that keeps coming up here as well. And I always say, oh, well, it's a creedless religion. And I start with a name. I say, well, Unitarian comes from the fact that our forebears, they couldn't find any evidence of a three-in-one God. They scoured the Bible, but they couldn't find it. And they concluded that God was one, not three. That's where the Unitarian name comes from. And then further on, they realized they couldn't really find anything in the scriptures to say either that Jesus was the Son or the only incarnation of God. They argued that he was a teacher and a prophet. And such radical ideas were considered heresy. I mean, for some people, they still are considered heresy. But certainly then, heresy carried a much greater risk than it does now. So people lost their lives for these beliefs. The Spanish theologian and scientist Michael Servetus was burned at the stake for his non-Trinitarian beliefs. And that was in 1553. And in our own John Biddle, who is sometimes referred to as the father of Unitarianism in England, was repeatedly imprisoned for his non-Trinitarian beliefs and views. And he eventually died in prison in 1662. So those were people who knew what commitment meant. They committed their lives to standing up for what they believed in or didn't believe in. But I would say that now it isn't really our beliefs that define us, although that's probably when people ask what a Unitarian is, they'll often trying to get at what is it you believe. But more important than what we believe, I think now is it's about the principle of what those people stood for, not the, when nobody's expecting anyone to give up their life for Unitarianism, but the willingness to think for themselves, the openness to exploring evidence and coming to their own conclusions, the tradition of dissent, the willingness to be open and curious. These, I think, are really what being a Unitarian means. So it's less about what you say you believe and more about a kind of approach you bring to your beliefs, the way you hold your beliefs. Are they kind of solid and fixed? Are they a little bit fluid? Are you open to exploration, to the possibility of new insight, to maybe seeing things differently over time? And I think that, to me anyway, that is the nub of being Unitarian. Some people, because we do all have different views, so some people will disagree with me, but that is what it means for me, essentially. It's the invitation here to follow your conscience. Of course, subject to some kind of reason, and also, very importantly, in ways that are not harming other people, but respecting other people. And in ways that chime with our own lived experience. No one expects anybody here to believe something that just doesn't sit true with them in their own lives. So for me, being a Unitarian is about being a seeker, a kind of lifelong seeker. Someone who's always searching for truth, always looking for meaning, while realizing that the truth, with capital letters, is beyond our grasp. It's beyond any of our grasp. We get glimpses, we get moments, but we're human beings and we don't have access to the whole universe and the whole cosmos. We see what we see filtered through our senses, and we do the best we can with it. And we can do a lot with it. We have amazing brains and minds, but they can only take us so far. In the end, I think we're always left with mystery. And, we learn to live with the joy of that, with the excitement of that and the possibilities of that. And I think also that we're here because, whether we say it explicitly or not, there's a feeling that we can do this seeking and exploring and sharing ideas better in community than we can do it on our own. Of course, we can do it on our own, and we no doubt we do it on our own. That's part of what we bring here, the things we've read, the things we've thought, the ideas we've had, we bring them. But we share, and there is that sense of we are teaching each other and learning from each other and sharing our experiences with each other. So we're bringing not just our gifts, but importantly, we also bring our vulnerabilities, because we learn at least as much from those as we do from what we think we know. And we hope that we may discover here that we are nourished by the experience and nurtured and enriched as a result, not in spite of our different views or in spite of our diversity, but really because of it, because of them. So you can see why I find it quite difficult to answer the question, what is a Unitarian? Because it isn't just a snap answer, really, for me anyway. And I'm interested, when we can talk maybe more over coffee about which of what you think, and also which of the statements that Sheila and I read out you felt actually chimed with you, whether those are the things that you also might want from a community or whether they're not. It's all up for discussion. I became a member of Brighton Unitarian Church. I was trying to remember, I think it was the year 2000. I think I first went in 1999, and I think I became a member the following year. And I remember feeling it was a really big deal for me to become a member of something. I mean, I'm not great on becoming a member of things, really. But I had never before found a church or any other religious community, and I had looked. I'd never found one in which I felt I could belong and would give me space to grow. It was the first time I felt I could embrace the spiritual side of my life with others without having to take on board a lot of stuff that I couldn't believe. It didn't sit true for me. And that felt like an amazing discovery, to find this sort of hidden gem of a place in which doubt and dissent were not only tolerated, but actively encouraged and embraced. And even more amazingly, that dissent and difference was held in this loving place, in a place that had respect for each person and accepted everyone who came. So yes, I made the decision to become a member and, sign on a dotted line. I don't think it was a dotted line, but, I signed something, I think, because we don't have like a confirmation. We don't have a ritual as such that a lot of churches and other faiths do, but we do have this service every year where we celebrate membership of the church and welcome people when we can into that, and just remind ourselves really of what we're members of. I know that I felt blessed at the time, and remember writing for the first time on a census form when asked what my religion was, writing Unitarian and thinking, okay, that's interesting. So I know that lots of people come to church and they don't want to become a member, and that's absolutely fine. There's never any pressure for anybody to do that. Some people come for decades and never actually become a member. That's okay. You're all welcome. But if you are interested, then let me know. I'd love to hear from you. There are a few, I think, quite, small barriers, but there are some barriers to entry. And they are that we ask that you've been coming here reasonably regularly, for either online or in person, for at least 6 months. And we expect you to know something about the tradition and the ethos of what we do, and to be comfortable to go along with that. And yes, there is a subscription to be paid, but I feel it's quite a reasonable amount, and it's always open to negotiation anyway. And there are some very practical advantages, like having a vote in our meetings. So you get a different kind of voice in a meeting, and you might get a key to the building, and you might even get a parking permit, although they're a bit harder to come by these days. But surely the real benefit of becoming a member of something is not so much those things. It's really about the kind of statement that you make to yourself, that you want to give time and attention to your spiritual journey, that you want to commit yourself to learning and growing and seeking, and the sense that you can make this place your spiritual home, at least for the time being. It's not like you're signed up for life, but at least for the time being. It also really is about wanting to actively contribute to the care and the flourishing of this community, because we are a community, and we only are, we're the sum of our parts, and the sum of our parts is always a bit more than just our individual parts. But the contribution to the care and flourishing of the church and of all its beloved souls is important. And also what's important is that you're open yourself to receiving that nurture and nourishment from the community. This place, in the end, is what we make it and what we bring to it. And Unitarianism actually is different for different people and in different churches. If you go to a different Unitarian church, you might find it's quite different from this one. It'll have some things in common, but they're all different. So it's very much what we bring to the space, and what we bring is what we make it. Aided, of course, by the Spirit, by God, by the universe, and very much in tune, we hope, with what we're called to do. So as I say, if you think you might be interested, have a word with me afterwards, and I'm very willing to arrange a get together with people who are interested to have a bit more of a chat and see where you might be thinking and feeling about it. As I say, whether you're online or in person. I guess what we hope for is that you'll find a place. We'd love it to be here, but if it's not here, then somewhere, a place that you can call your own, a place that you can feel at home and that you belong in. And that is a kind of segue into, a rather clunky segue into our next hymn, which is number 167, There Is a Place I Call My Own. And it's in the Purple Hymn Books, number 167. And I would like to close with some words by John O'Donoghue, which are for belonging. And he talks about freedom. And sometimes freedom can feel like it's the opposite of belonging. But I think that when we belong somewhere, we actually can gain our freedom, because we are enriched by the support, the nurture, the sense of place that belonging offers us, gives us some roots from which we can venture and adventure and see what life brings us. And as I said, here you are free to follow your own journey and your own conscience. So that's very much a part of what it means to belong here. So these words from John O'Donoghue. May you listen to your longing to be free. May the frames of your belonging be generous enough for your dreams. May you arise each day with a voice of blessing whispering in your heart. May you find a harmony between your soul and your life. May the sanctuary of your soul never become haunted. May you know the eternal longing that lives at the heart of time. May there be kindness in your gaze when you look within. I'll say that one again. May there be kindness in your gaze when you look within. May you never place walls between the light and yourself. May you allow the wild beauty of the invisible world to gather you, mind you, and embrace you in belonging. Blessed be.